Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to an episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Roofman, making $3.7 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $15 million and its worldwide total to $17 million. So yeah, again, it's just doing what it needs to. Again, thanks to its really small budget, it was able to make its budget back worldwide, and it wasn't a horrible drop or anything. 54%, nothing drastic, but nothing to write home about. Again, I think they were hoping for like the reception and word of mouth to be much stronger, and it would become much more of a sleeper hit. And while technically it is, again, it's made its budget back, it'll probably be able to double that once it releases in more international countries. I just don't think the interest was really there for this movie. Just not too many people found this on their radar or were interested enough to go and check it out, unfortunately. But still, it does seem to be maintaining its core audience, so that's good, I guess. And again, it's not tumbling or plummeting after the first weekend, which, hey, it's better than nothing. Again, the budget was modest enough to where it won't be a total money loser, but again, it's doing nothing special, really. Number 4 was One Battle After Another, making $3.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $61 million and its worldwide total to $162 million. Another solid weekend for the film. It was actually a pretty tight race for number 5 and number 4, just $100,000 difference between the two of them. I had a feeling that maybe Roofman might get the edge because it was the newer wide release and One Battle After Another had been out for a while, but no, once again, word of mouth is stronger with this movie than the other film, which again is really impressive to see the movie maintaining such strong hold. People still very curious to go check this out despite it being out for a while now. I do think the hype has died down a bit, but the movie's still holding strong, and it's been performing much better than I think a lot of people were expecting it to do. Yeah, again, the budget is just way too expensive. It's not gonna be able to double that, but still, I think this is a really impressive performance, seeing it hold out this well and lasting in the top 5 this long. I mean, there were people who thought this would be what this movie would make in its entire theatrical run. The fact that we're still early in its run and it's made this much alone. I mean, look at the international numbers. It's been doing really well internationally. 100 million international performance. That's really impressive. And domestically, again, it's been holding very well thus far as well. Yeah, I'd still call this a very impressive, respectable performance. It wasn't a Sinners, it wasn't a Weapons, but the fact that it's done this well and made this much money is still something to be impressed by. And hey, I'm very impressed that it was able to make this much. Number 3 was Good Fortune, opening with $6.1 million this weekend domestically. That total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries yet. This is the 4th biggest opening for a comedy this year. It was able to top This Is Spinal Tap 2, but it still sits behind The Roses, One of Them Days, and The Naked Gun. Yeah, I didn't really discuss this movie much last week because despite it being, we're in a bit of a slow period right now at the box office, and this was like one of the big new wide releases. I had my doubts on this movie's box office performance. I heard the buzz from CinemaCon, I believe last year, with how funny the trailer was apparently, and the movie has been getting well received by critics, some solid reviews, even the star power of Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen and even Aziz Ansari. I thought maybe there's a chance, but I didn't see the buzz with this movie with general audiences. I didn't see the marketing hype, despite a tie-in with Denny's of all places. That's I mean, hey, you gotta promote the movie somehow. But yeah, clearly it wasn't enough to help the movie out, really. I just didn't see the interest with this one. Barely saw anybody talking about it or getting excited about it, which is a shame, because it did seem like this was Aziz Ansari's big passion project after his other big passion project got shut down. You can look into that if you want to. And with comedies been on a solid trajectory recently, with One of Them Days and The Naked Gun performing modestly. The hope was for this one to be more perform similar to one of those movies, but instead it's performing similar to The Roses, and that's not a good comp, unfortunately. And this is one of the more pricier comedies this year. It cost $30 million, so it's going to need all the help it can get. Now, people did like this movie. Again, critics enjoyed it, audiences liked it, but they didn't love it compared to some other comedies. It got a B plus on Cinema Score. That's on par with The Roses, but it's under stuff like, again, One of Them Days, The Naked Gun, and even This Is Spinal Tap 2 got an A minus. So yeah, the response has been good but not great, so I'm not sure how this movie's gonna leg out. Maybe we'll see the movie overperform, maybe its message, maybe the jokes find its way to get the word out. I don't know, but this movie's definitely going to need a lot of help in the coming weeks. Just not a great opening, sadly. Number 2 was Tron Ares, making $11 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $54 million and its worldwide total to $103 million. Oh, Tron. Oh, my sweet baby boy. This movie had a big drop off this weekend, only holding 67% from last weekend. That's a devastating blow to an already bad start for this movie. My good, even Tron Legacy did not fall off to this degree. That movie fell like 54%, if I remember correctly, back in December 2010. I mean, you could argue the holidays factored into it, but still, I'd argue that was just much better received, and more people were more into returning to Tron with that movie, because the response to this clearly has just not been great. People just aren't dazzled. They don't have the passion to go return to Tron, especially with this movie. The response has been very mixed, lackluster, people not really enjoying this movie, and the movie is just reaping the quote-unquote rewards from it. Yeah, just a really bad performance for this, especially with the budget, $180 million. I mean, it surpassed $100 million. It just needs $80 million to make the budget back, but it'll probably get there, maybe, because again, there's not a big blockbuster like this until the next Predator movie in November, so who knows, maybe it'll bounce back, but again, it's just not going to be enough to salvage this. And they've been even talking and saying how they're going to scale back on Tron in terms of movies. I've heard the rides are very successful, but clearly movies are still like the black sheep of the Disney family, just especially this movie. Again, this was supposed to be like the big blockbuster of the month, but unfortunately it's just not bringing people to the theater. So yeah, really bad numbers for Tron Ares. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was The Black Phone 2, opening with $27 million this weekend domestically and $42 million worldwide. This is the 6th biggest opening for a horror film this year. It topped The Monkey, Him, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and The Long Walk, but still sits behind 28 Years Later, Weapons, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, and The Conjuring Last Rites. So last weekend I had high hopes for this movie's opening, but nothing to the degree of this. I thought we were going to see a repeat of Smile 2, where yeah, it would win the weekend, but the opening would be probably about on par, or maybe just slightly smaller than the first one. But actually this kind of surpassed expectations, as it had a bigger opening than the first one. It bested the original's opening by $4 million, which is actually quite impressive, because you don't typically see with like a horror sequel, especially for something more recent, again Smile 2, for the opening to improve upon that, especially with the reception on Cinema Score being lower than the first one. The first one got a B+, this one got a B, so you would think we would see a decline here, but as we got further into the weekend, again, the numbers just kept going up for this movie, so it really struck a nerve with like a lot of people. The interest was there, and the word of mouth certainly helped it out. People really wanted to go check it out. I also think, again, the only major horror movie out this month, which is strange because it's October, you'd think we'd be getting much more of these. We've been getting a lot of smaller ones, but again, nothing to like a big mainstream horror movie, and The Conjuring has certainly run its course. So this movie really had it all working for it, and we still got some time before not just Halloween, but also the next big horror movie. Again, we got a couple smaller ones here and there, but I don't think we got another like big horror movie until Five Nights at Freddy's 2 in December of all places. So plenty of time. Obviously, there's probably something else that I'm forgetting about maybe, but as far as I know, nothing till FNAF 2 in 2 months. So again, plenty of time for this movie to grow. And again, I think the word of mouth is helping it out. It's definitely one of the more better received horror movies, much better received than stuff like Him and Strangers Chapter 2, and most certainly a lot of the recent Blumhouse movies for sure. So definitely a big win for Blumhouse after a really disappointing year they've been having, and certainly a win for this movie as well. $30 million budget, it's already made that back worldwide, and given the response and the budget, it'll be easy to double that and be a success. So yeah, really strong start for the Black Phone 2. Hopefully can continue this trend throughout the rest of not just Spooky Month, but throughout the rest of its run, because with a lot of these horror sequels, they have really strong openings, but they tend to fall off. Obviously Conjuring, but even Final Destination Bloodlines had a big drop off. So we'll see what the holds are for this movie, but hopefully, given the strong reception and the strong overperformance, this movie has the legs it needs to continue to overperform. So yeah, really solid start for the Black Phone 2. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And we've got a plethora of new movies hitting theaters this weekend. Quite the busy weekend. Shelby Oaks, Chainsaw Man, Regretting You, but the one that I think is probably going to win the weekend, and this may come to a surprise, but I'm going with Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, the new music biopic about who else? Bruce Springsteen. I think this is gonna tap into the older audience. I think they've been selling the movie well. Jeremy Allen White has been getting praise for his performance, and Springsteen is such an icon of American music and rock. I think a lot of people are going to be curious to see his story told in film. And again, these music biopics, while they tend to be hit or miss with critics, they certainly have been very successful with audiences. Obviously, A Complete Unknown and Bob Marley One Love recently have been very successful thus far, and I think this one is gonna probably land somewhere in the middle between those two, again because of the iconicism of Springsteen and tapping into that older audience. I've been seeing a lot of marketing for this movie recently, so yeah, I think we're gonna see a solid debut here. Nothing monumentous, nothing mind-blowing, but something that really surprises us. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's gonna do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.